Hey, welcome back to the channel, and I have put the trailing edge, it's 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch trailing edge stock on the wings, you know, where we left off last time. I had the wheel wells all routed out and the balsa removed from the sheeting, and the sheeting came out great. And so I need to get some 3/8 balsa, which I don't have yet. So while I was waiting for that, I moved on to the fuselage. So I'll show you. As you know, we are building a Boxer 60, so I can learn how to fly AMA pattern, precision aerobatics, and so we're you know, moving along pretty good on the build. But I will I'll kind of show you where I'm at, and then I'll show you kind of something special if you're a builder. This is something that I made a long time ago, but it's one of those tools that I just can't imagine living without. So I'll show you that here in a second. Cool. All right, so this is the tool that I was talking about, and you can see I just took a piece of old glue lam that I got my hands on, and actually my neighbor was throwing it away, and I said, oh, I don't think so, I can use that. And so this is my fuselage jig, and it guarantees that I build a straight fuselage every time. And for this particular plane, of course, it's very important that that it be very straight. Aero straight, I believe, is the word. So, and you can see that I have a center line that's drawn in the exact center of the whole board. And these blocks, I made them, I was kind of using the material I had on hand at the time, so I kind of drilled them out. And if I was to do it again, I would laminate these pieces together, which I don't see my other piece here. Maybe it's over here. Yeah. This is a mini version that I built for building free flight models, and it probably has more pieces than it needs, but it worked out great. And that's actually what I did on this one. You can see I laminated 2 pieces of plywood and some balsa in between, and these are just long bolts that come from underneath with wing nuts. You can see I drilled all those out and countersunk them. And basically this one is exactly the same. The bolts are come from underneath and are countersunk. Let me set this out of the way. And up toward the front of the fuselage, or to the front of the board, you can see I'm in the outer position right now, and I don't know if you can see this, but I actually have 2 sets of holes drilled so that I can go wider for a really wide fuselage. But this one actually worked out fine, even on the wider one. So really, except for some narrow free flight models, I move them into the inner ones, and then I've got a little more room for a skinny fuselage or whatever. Here are the sides, and you can see that I've already done the work of putting on the doublers. There's a balsa doubler in the wing saddle here, and then it gets some plywood doublers on top of that where the wing bolt mounts will end up going, and then there's some plywood in this forward fuselage area. An intentional gap left for this 1/4 inch bulkhead, and you can see on the bulkhead I've drawn a center line, and we'll be using this to line up with the center line on the board down here. So we've got that bulkhead. This bulkhead here And this stage, I've got both sides of the fuselage ready to go. You can see the other one here. The first thing you notice is just how long this sucker is. I mean, it's really, really long. And I didn't really even realize how long it is until I put it on the table, and it doesn't even fit completely on my table, but it works out good. It won't be an issue. I'll be able to work with it. And yeah, so the important thing is to make sure that you make opposite sides, and sometimes you have to make sure you slowly think through that when you're building, because you want to make sure that everything is matching the way it's supposed to, because it is easy to make the mistake of building two identical sides if you're not careful. Yeah, so how this works is I kind of use the we're going to be working on this with it down, upside down. So down meaning upside down. This is actually the top of the fuselage, but for this first part here, the top's actually going to be down. So I'm just going to line this up right here, so I can use that black line just as a center mark, or as a reference point, to make sure that the bulkhead is maintaining, that it's completely perpendicular to the center line of the fuselage. So same thing back here. Actually drew another line on there so that I could do the same. I have some little 1/8" spacers here that I've set in because you can see that on this part of the fuselage there's an 1/8" sheet that will go all the way along here, and so it countersinks into there. So this will make sure that my bulkheads don't drop below that 1/8 of an inch. So we'll just set this one in here, and then I'll set this bulkhead in so we can see it there. We'll dry fit everything first, and then we're going to come back and actually glue everything after it's dry fit. So we'll just get this in here. There we go. And then we're going to turn this one over, do the same thing. And we'll get turned around here. Alright. And then we'll come back here, we'll drop this one in. And I did a little bit of pre-setting on these. They're loose, but they're close to where they need to be. So we're not way off to start with. And make sure these are resting on the 1/8", which they are, which is good. Okay, so to dry fit this, we're just going to hold the, we'll start with this one. And so now I'm sighting down, and I'm making sure that the plywood is with my line here, and I used a square off of this edge right here to draw the line in both locations, so I know they're square to this edge, which the center line is as well. And now we'll take this and just gently put it in and tighten up our bolts. And you can see I've got a little foam on there, which helps protect the balsa. But the nice thing about this is it also ensures that the sides are staying 90 degrees to the surface as well. So everything's in good shape. So we've got really good alignment here. So I'm going to say that's good. We'll just gently put these in against the edge. They're not holding a whole lot there, but we'll put them in anyway. There's nothing in between is what I mean to say, but we'll just put them there to hold it. This one looks like it's lined up well, and now I'm sighting down my center mark to make sure that I'm on I'm on the center line, and because I have the foam on here, if I need to push it over, all I got to do is loosen one side and then just give it a little push and then tighten it up, and then we're in good shape. So, and there you can see I just moved the whole thing. So let's go back here and get back square right there, and we'll just put this one on. And I don't know if you can see this, but you can. We're not square here, so I'm going to loosen up this side. We're going to push this one over a little bit, and then we'll bring this one in. Just a little bit more, right about there. And we might have to go just a touch further. Okay, feel good about that. And then the third piece that we're going to glue in is this piece here. So I'm going to go ahead and set that in between here. And I have to just back off of these just a touch so we can get that in. I want to make sure it fits good. Alright, it's a nice fit. And once we get glue in there, we'll get these centered up. We'll use the blocks. We'll get those centered up where they're going to go, and then we'll come to the back and we'll just make sure that the very back here is right in line with the line register mark I have here. So, and that will make sure that we are absolutely arrow straight and everything fits nice. So okay, so now that everything is in place, dry fit, now we'll just come back and remove these pieces, and all I have to do is this one will just come right out. So I'm just going to leave it in there for a second, and then this one should slide right out, and then that'll stay there. And now we just put our glue on, and I'm going to use Type 3 for this, which should work out really good. There's one more section in the front. I've pre-glued this to one side, and then once we get this all in position, I'll put glue on this on the other side, and we'll end up clamping it with a clamp that I have over here. Grab one of my clamps. These are these clamps are super handy, so keep that close by. Alright, let's get some glue on this. Took my carbon scissors down so I could... Oh, in case you were wondering before when I mentioned the scissors for cutting carbon and fiberglass and stuff like that, it's called Fisker's Soft Touch, and you can see it's got a serrated edge on it on one side, and that works just beautifully for cutting fiberglass and carbon. It cuts it just really, really nicely. So I forgot I didn't show that to you before. So, all right, let's get this in here. Let's get some glue on here. And then I'm gonna back off just a little bit, just because I don't want to push all the glue out. So I'm gonna come in here, and we'll just drop that one in place. And I want to put a little bit more so I can catch those edges too. So just want to come along this edge right here. Get a nice, really nice bond. So, whoops. got really good squeeze out. And you can see I only loosened one side so that it's easier to get everything back into position. And now I'm gonna sight down again and make sure I'm square to my line, and then I'll move this in and make sure I'm on the center line. That all looks pretty good right there. And we'll just clean up a little bit of these globs. These are down on the 1/8 inch. All right. There we go. And then we'll go to this one. Do the same. Make sure I get this right. And this way. Do the same. We'll just back this off a little. We'll get this down in there. And we'll bring it back in. Until we're right on the center line. Everything looks good there. I did notice on the front, I just got to make sure this is pushed down on those 1/8 inch pieces. Which it looks like we are. That's good. I did notice on the front, we'll come back and check this one more time, that the top, we're going to need another clamp because the top here just needed a little bit of persuasion right there. So we're just going to hit that with a clamp just gently. So we're not denting the wood or anything, just till we see some glue squeeze out there, which we saw right there. Actually had some more over here. There we go. All right. Now we'll come back here and we'll put glue on this part. And we're going to want to get glue on all of these sections here as well. And then we'll hit the sides of this. You have plenty of working time with the tight bond, so you don't have to get too rushed when it's, especially it's a little bit cool right now, so you have even more working time. When it's a little warmer out, you do have to move a little quicker. But yeah, it's great glue. Especially when you got to clamp something and let it sit. I mean, works perfect for this. The good thing about this glue is a lot of the moisture in it evaporates, so Alright, so we'll get this in position, drop it down in there. Okay, then all we got to do is just bring in the sides here, and we'll end up clamping the back there as well. I just want to get some of the glue off while we can. All right, I'm going to go back up to the front. I'm just going to double check everything, make sure that this hasn't moved. Nope, that looks good. It's on the center line. This one's on the center line. That looks good. And now we'll get another clamp. And we'll come back here and maybe we'll put one about here. Not putting much pressure on this, just enough till I see the glue squeeze out, which it did. And then we're going to check. We're going to check right here, and it's just right on. It's just dead on the center line, so. That's really good. All right. Okay. And then we'll put some glue. Put some glue right here. You can see not exactly sparing with it. I let the glue flow sometimes. I don't. If this was epoxy, you'd be adding a lot of weight, but since it's not that big a deal. All right, so I'll just start pulling this in right here. Now, since everything is laser cut, fit is always really good, so okay. So now we got that pulled in, and that's all good. Now I'm going to go back and you can, I don't know if you can see, but I knew by putting pressure on that we were going to change the position of this plywood here. So now we're going to reposition it so that we're back on the center line. We're good right there. And that just allowed that to rotate right through. Yep, that looks great. That looks great. When I sight from here, it's just right down the middle. So, and we'll be able to, when I put the firewall in here, this will actually make some adjustments I'll put it back in the jig and all that, and get that in position. So yeah. Yeah, so that's this phase, and I wanted you to see my jig, and not only see the jig, I wanted you to see how I use it, and that's how I get everything in position. And the key to using it is dry fitting first. Make sure you got everything centered up, and then you just release the tension on your your side clamps, and then put your glue on and put everything back in position, line it up, and it just works out. It just works out absolutely perfect. So all right, cool. So thanks so much for checking out the video. I do always appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber, I invite you to subscribe and follow along with my my adventures. And yeah, so I'll catch you later.